Welcome to Shots Fired. Gabe, what do you expect out of the Broncos this season and next season?
I expect to see our receiving core take a step up. I believe in Courtney Sutton. I believe in Drew Lock. I think when he gets back, I think that we're going to take things up a level. I expect my entire offense to at least score 20 points a game. Philip Lindsay is out with turf toe. Nothing too serious. He'll be back. I'm just happy that he's hurt now. I know that sounds terrible, but I would rather you be hurt now than, I don't know, week 16. We're going to the playoffs. So let's just get through the injury bug. Let's let people underrate us.
Mm-hmm.
Let them underrate us. Let us kind of be a little bit better than we actually are. And then let us just come back and strike healthy later on in the season. I think if you look at our schedule, things get a little tougher around Christmas time. So I'm feeling good right now. I like our performance versus Tennessee. We gave a playoff team a hard run.
Gotcha. Elliot, what question do you have about the game on last Monday?
Okay, I'm gonna just ask you the question we did before. In terms of, you're in year two of a second-year quarterback. You have a relatively new team. As we've talked before, you got some injury stuff here. But where do you want to see this team going from this point to year two and year three of this team together? What are your expectations in this year and then beyond in the next couple of years?
My expectations is to see my quarterback step up and show that he's a baller. I don't want to see that he's a game manager. I don't want Alex Smith 2.0. No disrespect, Brian. But I want to see him just be able to throw the ball around really well, really accurate. He showed flashes last year. We went 7-9 last year. He showed that he can win some games. He can give some tough teams. A challenge, and that's what it's all about. You have to build a Super Bowl team. Obviously, eventually we want to get there again.
Mm-hmm.
But to start, you have to attract free agents, and you have to show that you have a quarterback that's able to throw the ball really well. And so I just hope that he starts showing flashes of greatness, man. Show me a little bit of some MVP type stuff, and he has already. Just keep showing me more. We went 7-9 last year. I hope we can get it above 500 this year. We're in a tough division. We got those Chiefs. Unfortunately, light-skinned Michael Jordan decided to join the division a few years ago, and so we got to deal with that. But I'm feeling good, man. I'm optimistic. Let's say I'm cautiously optimistic when it comes to my team.
Would you say this season, based on the division you're in, to try to nick second place?
That's a terrible question because it hurts. It hurts. It's painful. I want to win the division, but
we know what's going on over there in Missouri. So
since the Super Bowl champions are in our division, and they look even hotter than they did last year, in my opinion. We'll just try to get second place. I'm not afraid of the Chargers. I'm not afraid of the Raiders. I don't care, guys. I think we can do it. I trust Drew Lock.
If you get you say you want to improve, if you get 8-8 or 9-7, you finish third. Would you consider that a successful season or a disappointment based on the fact that the rest of the division's not the strongest?
I would consider that a successful season because we went 7-9 last year. Just get better, improve those two games. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
Drew Lock, just show them that you can win football games. Like I said, versus the Titans, he didn't have any interceptions. He looked good. I think he can be a franchise quarterback. He looks a little shaky, but I think once he calms down, he'll get better. So, 8-8, 9-7 would be third place is a loss. Third place is a loss. If we take second place, I guess that's a win for the Broncos.
I got you. That makes sense.
What if you guys get last this year?
If we get last this year, then I'm going to be highly upset. I'm gonna probably drive down there because you jinxed us, Ryan. We're not going to – come on, man. All you ask me the type of questions. Don't do that to me, man.
I'm just trying to ask questions and give me the best answers here. I'm trying to orchestrate the situation.
We're go last this year. If we get last place in the AFC West, I'm gonna be ready to move on from Drew Lock. And
what if he throws for 30 touchdowns and you get the last place?
Oh, then come on. I mean, that's just these hypothetical. If he throws 30 touchdowns, no way we're getting last place. But if Drew Lock isn't the guy, if Drew Lock turns out to not be a franchise quarterback, I'm not saying I'll be ready to move on from Elway, but I'll be looking at him like, come on, bro, you've missed on everybody. He hasn't ever drafted a good quarterback. He got Peyton. He got us Peyton, and we owe him.
And then he drafted Paxton Lynch, who going into that draft I didn't think was a first-round pick. Okay? So.
Yeah, but in fairness to Elway, he did build a great team.
He can build a great team.
He can't get the quarterback right. That's the point here. It's
you know why Elway can't get a quarterback? You know why he can't draft a quarterback to save his life? It's because Elway is secretly jealous. And he doesn't want anybody to break his Bronco records. He was upset when Peyton did it. He was like, what the hell is going on?
No, that is not true. He wants to win more than anything.
He can't draft a quarterback to save his life.
That's because
Brock Osweiler, Paxton Lynch, Tim Tebow. All due respects to Tebow.
No, that was not his fault. No, that was Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Man, Elway can do better. I know that for a fact. I believe
but
he took Brock Osweiler over Russell Wilson. We could have won that we could have won that first Super Bowl if we would have just took Russell.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have been – he was a third-round pick. So it was like one of those things with Mahomes where not many people saw that one coming. So is Elway going to figure that one out? Maybe, maybe not. But, again, it's just sort of like one of those situations. But I think
Elway – he's missed on everybody.
Yeah, he's not drafted well quarterback-wise.
Everything else he's hit on. Phenomenal.
Yeah, everything else is phenomenal. They had a great draft.
He knows how to put together a defense. He's even really good with running backs. I like our running backs. I really liked. But, man, I don't know. But you know what? I'm really grateful because some teams like the Browns, it takes 30 years for you to find your quarterback. It's only been 5 for us. So I'm going to continue being patient with Elway, but I'm going to look at him a little differently. Like, all right, come on, Elway. Figure it out, man. You are literally one of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
Yeah,
so why can't
no question.
This should be in your bag. You should know a quarterback when you see one.
Exactly.
That should be his specialty.
That should be the one thing he hits on. If he's not hitting on anything else, he should be able to get that quarterback, whether it's Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, or whoever, Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So, no, but you're in a good space right now. I really like the draft you had. I mean, Jared Judy's the obvious. I mean, that was a great pick.
Oh, he's amazing.
But I like the other receiver you drafted too, where you got him. So for me, that's not the best. I thought that was the best pick that Bronco had. It wasn't the best player that they picked, but I thought getting a player of his caliber at that slot was a really good pick. And I think collectively over the whole thing, you guys did a really good job putting it together. You just had to give Drew Lock the weapons to sort of – I mean, I think he's going to have a good year. I think record-wise, I think they'll improve.
Deshaun Hamilton?
Hamler, I think is his name.
Oh, yeah.
The receiver.
Yeah.
Out of Penn State. I saw him play against Minnesota live. So yeah.
Very young team. Like I said, youngest team in the NFL. We're turning over our roster. For some reason, I didn't know that Super Bowl hangovers last 5 years, but apparently they do. So I'm just hopeful, man.
Speaking of Super Bowl hangovers, that is not true at all. They do not last for 5 years.
No, they don't.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Whoa, give us some time, buddy. You don't know.
Kansas City Chiefs just absolutely spanked Bill O'Brien, probably the worst GM in the history of the NFL, and his Houston Texans.
Yeah,
How did he get that job and the head coaching? I'm like, he's not Bill Belichick.
He doesn't deserve to have Deshaun Watson as quarterback. He deserves Mitch Trubisky. That's what he deserves.
No, he deserves Ryan Leaf. Dude, I mean, you look at it like this. Bill O'Brien's like a Big Mac, and Bill Belichick's like a filet mignon.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, killer
He's
analogy.
the
not
full
even
steak dinner.
comparable.
Bill is the full steak dinner. Bill O'Brien is aging like milk. Bill Belichick ages like fine wine.
Exactly.
But anyway, yeah, I was impressed with my team. Of course I was. I mean, it's the Chiefs. We're the best team in the world. And we're going to win it again and again and again. And we're probably going to win 7 Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes. But that's okay. But anyway, in all seriousness, I love the pickup. The rich got richer with Clyde Edwards, our new running back. We drafted him at the end of the round. What a stud.
Pick.
Oh, my God.
Game one,
Oh
he's
my
out of the
God.
gates, man. Game one. That was my biggest takeaway because Mahomes, I thought it was good that he got in the pocket and was dicing him up like he always does. But it was the running game that really stuck out, which is why I picked the Ravens last week, and then I saw the game like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble here. But then, Lamar lit up too. But I just think that's the key. If they can get him to run the ball like that on a consistent basis the rest of the season, I mean, it's going to be really hard for anyone to stop them.
And you know what the best part is? Tyreek Hill didn't play on Thursday.
I know, it's scary, isn't it?
When we get him back, how much more disgusting do you think that offense is going to be?
I mean, it's really endless what you can do especially with that quarterback. Even if you didn't have Patrick Mahomes, that would have been a lethal offense. But with that guy, I mean, if the defense holds up, you very well could win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like the greatest show. I don't want to be the greatest show on turf because I only won one, but it's like the greatest show on turf. Without Mahomes, you still probably win the Super Bowl. With Mahomes and Warner, though, you know how they were. It's just even more disgusting.
Right. No,
wow.
Exactly.
I don't think y'all would have won that Super Bowl last year without Mahomes, though.
No, I don't. No. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh.
I'm saying if you could plug someone else in there and they would still be a high-power offense. But when you put Mahomes in there, it's just like godlike. You know what I mean? So
you can plug like
Alex Smith and see what he does with it. We've seen that.
No, not like that, though.
All right, this is the thing, to be fair. Think about this. Alex Smith didn't have Sammy Watkins. I mean, he had younger Tyreek Hill. Kelsey had the best year of his life last year. So I mean,
let's talk about it, guys.
It's hard, man. I mean,
so 1 year with Alex Smith, what was your record before Pat Mahomes took over? I mean, you guys looked okay with Alex Smith. His first year starting, he throws 50 touchdowns. Are you serious?
I know. I'm not saying that we would be better off Alex Smith.
I'm
just saying.
What I was saying here is I'm just highlighting the point that this entire team is loaded, and I'm really trying to pinpoint the running back position. That if they can run like that, and if they can do what they did against Houston, I mean, put me back there. Maybe I got a shot. That's how good the offense looks. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's like the offense that would have been if y'all would have kept Kareem Hunt, but you know him. He had to go kick somebody on camera. But if y'all would have kept him, I think that would have been the offense when y'all lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship.
But again, you had that running back, and I know it's one game, but oh my God, he was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I knew it was a good pick, but still. Go ahead.
I mean, okay, but you know what? This is my thing. The defense does not get enough credit. Daniel Sorensen, Tyrann Mathieu,
absolutely. Chris
Jones, up front. I mean, it's just loaded every single place. And remember, we didn't – it's crazy to think because, we had, Eric Berry and Marcus Peters. And now look at us. We're even better off without them almost. Crazy. And by the way, I do want to point something out. Daniel Sorensen is the most underrated player in this league. And I don't think it's even close. He does everything. He tackles well. He covers well. He gets down and is not afraid to get dirty. I think he's the most underrated player in the league. He's probably my favorite player on the team right now because I like the hard workers. So, it's just there's just players everywhere in this squad. Everywhere.
Right. And I think the big thing with Kansas City is you don't think about the defense immediately, which is why it always kind of becomes underrated. But that's a big part of their success last season. And their defense wasn't as good the year before, but it's gotten better year by year. And now with the defense like that, it's endless what you can accomplish. I don't think there's a world where you're going to win 7 in a row or anything like that, but you could win 7 total. I don't think that's out of the thing, because especially you got Pat Mahomes locked up for 10 years or whatever it was. So
you think Before we go, do you think, both of you, before we go on to another team, do you think, I'm asking you both, do you think at the end of the day Pat Mahomes is going to be the GOAT?
Yeah, I do.
I thought he kind of already was. I mean, come on. You hand him the football, 50 touchdowns a week, year one? Come on, that's just not even realistic. I would have never – when Peyton Manning threw 55 touchdowns, it was in his, 15th year. He had 4 elite weapons. When Brady threw 50 touchdowns, he had Randy Moss and Russ Welker. Exactly, in, year 8. So, in your first year, you do it. And I'm not trying to undermine Patrick Mahomes' targets, but Manning and Brady both had targets, I would say, just as good. No disrespect. But, I mean, he's not real. Your quarterback, I don't think he's human. I think he's a test tube baby. They made him in the lab somewhere. He's like a Madden created player. He's Aaron Rodgers plus. So do I think he's going to be the GOAT? I don't think I don't see any weakness in Mahomes' game. So yes.
In all fairness, though, what really has helped Mahomes, he probably has one of the top 3 tight ends to ever play the game, catching passes from him, and has an elite receiver.
Top 3 receivers ever? What?
Travis Kelce? Oh, okay. It's Tony G, Gronkowski, Kelce.
Sharp has
what
to be in
about
there.
Antonio Gates? What about
Shannon Sharp?
Shannon Sharp?
All right.
Dude, Shannon Sharp talks too much. No, I played. Probably top 5. No, Shannon Sharp's one of the best ever, and I absolutely love the man on this video.
I'll be honest, he's number 1 on mine.
Never missed a game. He played for 22 years straight, never missed a game.
Okay, man, are we going to get into another argument now? Do you think Shannon Sharp over Tony Gonzalez? That's egregious.
I kind of think so. It's so close. It's hard, but
y'all better leave Uncle alone.
No, all right. So you take Shannon Sharp. Okay, I can see Shannon Sharp. I even think, I think Gronk's the best to ever do it.
No, it's hard because Shannon. It depends how you look at it. Because Shannon had so many big plays in all of his Super Bowl runs. They called them Big Play Shay for a reason, and he has all the rest of the things he would qualify as a GOAT, right? As a GOAT tight end. And I know his Super Bowl stats aren't fantastic, but they ran all over the place in those Super Bowls. So
we did. Terrell Davis was a monster.
This is what I'm going to say about Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp's probably the most clutch playoff tight end of all time. I don't think anybody can dispute that.
Yeah.
But what if Kelce gets 2 or 3 more rings?
Then
he was a stud.
I don't know, man. It's hard.
He was a stud with Alex Smith.
I know he was. He's fantastic. He's going to be up there historically when it's all said and done. But I don't know. It's thinking about this now, just because he has so much of his career left, it's hard to really – I mean, you can compare all you want, but it's hard to really figure out what the rest of it's going to look like. Because Shannon is done playing, and so he's still up there in my mind. So I haven't seen the end of the story, which is why typically I'll compare historical people against current players, but I just prefer, generally speaking, to have that conversation when their careers are more solidified, or there's more most of their careers is in the past, or they're not in their prime anymore, because it's really hard to compare someone that's already retired to someone who's playing at this level right now, because there's not a side-by-side to compare them to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So,
and as much as I joke about Shannon Sharp, about how he likes to run his mouth, which he does, but I mean, so does every sports pundit. Not only has he transitioned from being one of the best tight ends ever, he's one of the best people in sports media now.
Yeah, he's great. I love him so much. He's so funny.
Point blank. He's one of my favorite
I absolutely love the guy. I have nothing but respect for him.
Yeah, right. Same here.
So we all know Shannon Sharp's great, but I'm going to transition to something that's not great. The Detroit Lions.
They lost to Mitchell Trubisky.
They lost. How did they lose to Mr. Trubisky? They had a 17-point lead and lost. Elliot, could you please explain?
In the fourth quarter.
Yep. Elliot, could you please explain what happened for us?
Man, I don't get it. Detroit had this game in the bag. And then all of a sudden, so look, Mitchell Trubisky was so bad that when he was throwing passes in the first half, I wasn't sure they were going to touch the field. That's how bad he was in the first half. I was banging on the table yep, that's the draft bust that I've been talking about all these years, and these Bears fans have come after me. But and then everything seemed to collapse in the most Detroit Lion way. Because if you remember last year, they had that big lead against Kyler Murray in his rookie debut, and Kyler did nothing in the first half, and then they ended up getting a tie. But the last several years, I don't know. This is just this whole thing. And Detroit Lion fans, I've been hearing all year talk about how they're going to make the playoffs and they're going to make some noise and all this other stuff. And they are just choke artists. And even in the end of that game when they were driving, they dropped a touchdown in the end zone in the most Detroit Lion way. And they're just – this is why I don't believe it until I see it, because they're just meant to be mediocre forever. And they had Matt Stafford, who played okay, and then there are other pieces, but the Bears are awful. I was watching this game thinking they might get dragged into the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes just because how bad they were, and then they end up coming back. And you can credit the Bears for doing it, but I put that more on the Lions than the Bears, because they just took their foot off the gas because they thought the game was over.
Gabe, what do you think? Is this Lions? Honestly, I'm going to bring up the question right now. Who's more incompetent, the Detroit Lions or the Cleveland Browns?
The Detroit Lions, hands down. They had no business letting Mitchell Trubisky turn into the freaking GOAT on them in the fourth quarter. I think he had 4 passing touchdowns in the fourth quarter. It was wild. We knew that Baltimore was going to destroy the Browns, which they did offensively and defensively. But, Mitchell Trubisky, you got to give him credit for that win. I know a bunch of kind of fluke things kind of happened, some interceptions, some fumbles, but Mitchell Trubisky was playing his ass off in that fourth. He looked good. I was like, who is that? Is that Jay Cutler again? I thought Jay Cutler was back. But Mitch,
you're right.
Mitch looked good in that fourth quarter, guys. I got to give him his credit. We're going to tear him down.
No, I get that.
We're going to tear him down. We got to build him up.
He is the worst draft pick of all time, but in that fourth quarter, he played. And this is the thing with Mitchell Trubisky. I like his leadership. I like all the things he does in terms of the locker room, in terms of getting his team to not rally, but just those qualities that you can't teach. So sometimes in these big moments and big games, he can occasionally show up, and he showed up in that game. But again, the Lions let that one go.
I agree. All right, Gabe, it's your turn to have fun. Tom Brady looked more like famous Jameis out there this Sunday.
He looked like
he baked us some delicious turnovers.
He
some
looked like
apples, some blueberries, some peach, all sorts of turnovers he baked for us. So you go ahead, break down this game for us.
My brother. Can I get to open this up? It would be an honor. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, so first of all, Tom Brady came out and he led a beautiful drive. I think the first or second drive he went right down there and he scored a touchdown. And I got a little nervous. I was like, no, maybe he really is going to defeat Father Time, but I'm so happy I was wrong because he didn't. When he threw that pick six, Tom Brady was standing on the left hash of the field. And he threw it to the right, all the way to the right. And that ball just didn't seem – it looked like a duck. And I know a duck when I see one. I watched Peyton throw him in Denver for 4 years, and it just looked like he just couldn't get it there. I seen a bunch of rhythm and timing off. And so I'll give Tom Brady a little bit, but he played terrible. He looked like Jameis Winston. You cannot have a pick six and an interception in the game. That will be it, much like his last play in New England. Y'all remember his last play? His last throw
from the red zone for the end zone.
In addition to all of that, people think that Tom Brady is going to just be Tom Brady in Tampa, but it don't work that way because Peyton Manning was Peyton Manning in Denver. And when he showed up, Peyton Manning, if you guys remember, I'm sure you guys don't, but I want to say it was like 8-9 years ago, in his first year in Denver, he showed up and he played against the Falcons. Peyton Manning.
Oh, I remember.
You remember? He threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, I'm a Chiefs fan. He tormented me for 4 years.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
so he threw 3 interceptions in the first half of that game. It was rhythm, it was timing, it was coaching. Peyton had to get his thing, he had to get his stuff together. But the reason why this is a false equivalence is because Peyton Manning was 36 years old his first year in Denver. Brady is
That's
43.
a good point.
Brady's 43. That's what, 6-7 years? Come on now. It's just too much. So I mean, I think Brady's going to play well, but I think it's going to be too much for him. Injuries is going to tack on rhythm. He doesn't have the greatest coach of all time. The team is not going to be disciplined. New England always has the least.
And the coaches threw him under the bus too.
Facts, and
Which is good. He should be thrown. He played awful.
Yeah.
But New England had the least amount of penalties every year in the league. The Bucs is going to average a lot. He's going to have to get used to it. You can't have everything. And plus, Belichick always gave you the coaching advantage, unless you're playing against Tom McCoughlin. But that's another story. But yeah, Brady looked bad, man. What you guys think? You guys think Brady gonna come back or not?
I thought. Go ahead.
I think they'll go 9-7 and make the playoffs, but I think that's their ceiling.
Is 9-7
I think
good enough to make the playoffs in the NFC South?
Well, there's an extra wild card this year, so there's 3
Oh,
wild cards. So I think it is.
There's a free wild card. You're right.
So I think it is. I think they can get in the second wild card. Look, just even if he goes 9-7, it's gonna. I would consider it a disaster of the season. I mean, as much hype as he got there, unless he wins a Super Bowl and won the 2 years in his, I think it's a 2 or 3 year contract. Unless he wins the Super Bowl,
it's an absolute
disaster and failure.
I agree 100%.
Okay, then it's a disaster if he doesn't get one ring.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's not like Peyton
because Peyton won a ring.
The thing with Peyton is Peyton did win a ring, but this is the thing with Peyton too. I don't want to say like he didn't have as many expectations. The dude was coming off like his 4th neck surgery. Brady's been like, other than the 1 year, perfectly healthy his entire career. So people were figuring, Peyton would obviously be better than Tebow, but what are we really getting? And year 1, it just clicked. You know?
37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He almost won MVP, but Adrian Peterson ran for 2,000 yards that season, so we gave it to him. 13-3 season for Peyton.
Right, and even when Peyton had bad moments in his stretch there, he built on it every single time. So he has that first year Holmes won MVP. There's the famous Baltimore game where Flacco throws that bomb, and then there's the Super Bowl, and then he comes back a year or 2 later and wins the Super Bowl. So it's like he had these 2 big moments of negativity, and then he rose from it and did that. The problem with Brady is he doesn't have the time or the energy at his age to have those moments. He needs to win immediately. Peyton had the luxury to screw. I mean, of course he wanted to win more than that. He had the luxury to screw up on 2 years particular, and because the Baltimore game and then the Super Bowl. But to overcome that, to win that Super Bowl, Brady has 2 years to do this. If he doesn't do it this year, there's going to be so much more pressure as next year. And again, I think he's going to take a step back this year, and he'll take another step back next year. This could be a high. Okay. I don't know the numbers or whatever. I think he might be throwing more picks than he usually does this season. And just from a general sense, they should make the playoffs, but I'm not sure they do because I don't know. Carolina shouldn't make the playoffs. But I have just some strange feeling about them because I thought they looked good last Sunday, and if they can get some momentum in a certain part of the season, they could steal from them because I don't think, in terms of the way everything's constructed, in terms of how they played week 1, Tampa's not going into week 2 with momentum and thinking that they're with the high energy. They'll try to win the game, obviously, and I don't know who they're playing, but they'll probably end up getting back on the right foot. But they're not going into games with that momentum because of how horrid of a start it is. And this is one of those psychological things where something like that could mess with the team's sort of makeup. I'm not saying it will, and I expect them to get back on the right track. But there's no room for error where Peyton could screw up if he needed to. Because this is a 2-year deal worth $60 million, which is a crazy amount of money to give a 43-year-old. But at the same time, this team can't – it's this year – it's Super Bowl bust this year and next year, and that's it. And after seeing that game, I'm not really like everything that I thought has been clarified by that performance. They'll get it back, but it's not a good start for Tom Brady over there in Tampa Bay.
Yep. Okay, so quick. What are the chances that Tom Brady retire after this year?
0.
No,
He said
I don't think
coming
so.
back next year.
No, because
He said he wants to play till 45. He's going to do it.
Yeah, he's got too much ego to fold a year early. He's gonna do it. He's got $60 million in the bag.
What if
he
he
plays.
gets hurt?
I still don't think he retires. I think he is
Depends on the
determined.
injury.
He is determined.
If it's a Joe Theismann injury, there's no way.
Right.
But even with an ACL tear, he's going to come back.
If he can come back, he will. Because remember what he said like 10 years ago? He was talking, there was an interview about Peyton Manning and himself, whatever, and he said he plans to play to 45. And ever since that moment, he's determined to play to 45. So unless it's a horrible injury that he can't return from, he's playing to 45. He's going to play out his contract, and he's going to end up, doing what he does. But I just don't see him retiring after the season.
The real question should be next year, what's his ceiling? I mean, if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, there's no chance. I think by the end of his career, he's going to win I think the last year that Bucs deal, they'll probably be 4-12 or something, something awful.
I think if they don't win if they don't at least make the championship game,
conference final.
I think the coach might be fired too. So, because I think there's so much expectation on this team to do well that if they don't, they have to blame it on someone, and they're not going to blame it on the guy they just gave $60 million to.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Speaking of awful performances, great segue. What the hell was Daniel Jones looking at throwing some of those interceptions?
All right, so wait. I have a theory. Let's talk about it. I have a theory.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go on.
Okay, so check this out. I was watching the Giants, and they were just driving. Daniel Jones was looking really good.
He was looking good most of that game.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley was looking good. They were just driving, and they got close to the end zone, and it was 1st and 10, and then they handed it off to Saquon Barkley, and he rushed for 5 yards. I'm like, that's a good 5 yards. But if you watched the Giants drive, you'll notice most of the time they were throwing the ball with play action. They were turning Daniel Jones, a young quarterback, his whole back to the defense. I'm like, why are they doing that? It was working, but it was a dangerous game they were playing because Pittsburgh was blitzing. And so they get down to the end zone and they run a play action, a really big play action. Daniel Jones turned his back to the defense. He looked back around and there was a defender right in his face, and he just threw it up. He kind of panicked. He hit that panic button, and it was a pick. And I mean, obviously he can't do that, no excuses. But at the same time, what's up with the offensive coordinator? Like, come on now, Jason Garrett, you were a head coach. Figure it out. Give your young quarterback something easier, because if it doesn't work, then you're going to be messed up. So that's what happened. They should have ran the ball. They should have ran some slants. I really blame Jason Garrett for it.
Yeah, but I think obviously Daniel Jones is. I think he's going to be something. He just needs time to develop it. And again, I think it's on that. But again, they couldn't run the ball all game long. Saquon Barkley looked like it was me out there. So it's just I think that's a big problem. And so, yes, Daniel Jones shouldn't have made that pass, but it could have been on the play call, as you said. It could have been on some other things. And he had to do that. I'm not making excuses for him. He has to do better in those situations. But again, I just think my biggest takeaway from the game was how ineffective they were running the ball. And that they have one of the best running backs in the league. How are they going to get a best out of him with that garbage in front of him? So it's just yes, Daniel Jones didn't play his best game, but at moments, he had moments in that game. So it's just, I don't know. I'm not sure the whole explanation, but it's
Barkley,
just
Yep. Barkley had 15 carries for 6 yards.
He was a 0.5 yards per carry.
Nothing. He was getting nothing. Wow. And Daniel Jones almost had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I thought overall the game itself, I thought Daniel Jones looked good. And the interceptions are going to happen for a young quarterback, and yes, some of them are on him. But at the same time, I like what I saw from him, even if he have some bad throws in that game.
I agree. I liked what I saw. I just thought some of his decision making was very questionable.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
going to happen with a
definitely.
quarterback of his age. It's year 2. He had a lot of turnovers last year. I think he's just trying to do too much, in my opinion.
Yep.
All right.
Play call. Yep.
After what you've seen this week, is Sam Darnold a bust, Elliott?
God, I hate this. Yes, I swung a miss. He is. I swung and missed. I swung and missed. I swung and missed. Here's the thing. He joins a very small group of people I swung and missed on. I get that he's with the Jets, and the Jets are horrible. I've tried to defend him all the way through. His first year, he's 20 years old. That's going to happen. Second year, he looked good second half of the season, and then he looks like a bust. I got to be honest. In that draft, I did say that Josh Allen was my guy, but Sam Darnold was a coin flip for me going into sort of that draft. But I think I swung a miss on him. I hope he can turn this around. And being a bust that I think he's going to become, I don't think that's necessarily his fault because of the situation he ends up in. If he's on a different team, this probably isn't the conclusion. But, I mean, he just doesn't look like a franchise quarterback. And he's a mature.
Yep. He looks a lot closer. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say he's a mature guy. He's a leader in the locker room. I just don't think at this point he's shown the talent that he's a franchise quarterback. And I think the Jets are going to be in the Trevor Lawrence business this upcoming draft because of this.
He has 37 career touchdowns to 29 interceptions. Yeah. That is Jameis Winston-like. That is, I think he's much closer to Alex Smith than, say, an Aaron Rodgers. And that's just unfortunate for the Jets because he had potential. He shows you flashes. Like last year when he beat those Cowboys, he just showed flashes of maturity. And he had mono. He was sick. So he shows you flashes, but he hasn't put together anything consistent.
I don't think he's a historically bad bust. But he's starting to look like a bust. That's what I'm going to say. He's not Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, or anything like that. I'm just saying he's starting to show glimpses. At this point, I missed on this, but I'm hoping he's able to turn around because a guy with his character level and his leadership deserves to be better on the field. So I hope he turns around, but at this point, he does look like a bust.
Can I ask you both a question? Why do USC quarterbacks stink? Outside of Carson Palmer?
I'll take this one. I don't know. I think just in prime USC quarterbacks, you're more justified for taking them because the team was so loaded. In the recent USC area of quarterbacks, the team's not that good. They can't recruit. That's a whole college football. But I think I think maybe it's the system that they run, and it's just, I don't know. It's just one of those places where it doesn't seem to be producing these top level quarterbacks. But if you look at like historically in the NFL, all the best quarterbacks are not coming from these big schools. Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech, for example. Big Ben went to Miami, Ohio. And then
Brady and Manning are like the exception.
Yeah, Rodgers went to Cal.
They went
Breeze
to
went to Purdue.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think a lot of the best quarterbacks don't come from these places. There's a few Oklahoma ones that I like. Kyler's young though, so I'm not going to say that he's an example here. But I think generally speaking, the worse the school, the better the prospect, at least in some sense. Stanford had Andrew Luck, and he was good in his career, but that's not a huge school at the same level of like a Notre Dame, a Michigan, a Tennessee, a Alabama.
Okay. Stanford also had Elway.
Yeah, but I don't put Stanford in the same class as an Alabama, LSU, those type of schools. So
yeah, the funny thing is though, because we're having this conversation, Notre Dame's had one good quarterback come from that school pretty much, and he's probably, you can argue he's the best ever, Joe Montana. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You sure could argue that, huh? He's a great one.
They could. I mean, there's Notre Dame quarterbacks who were tremendous at Notre Dame, but not at the NFL level. I can't think of another one. I think Joe Montana.
Brady Quinn.
Yeah, the GOAT. Right. I'm just kidding.
Everybody thought he was going to be the GOAT.
I didn't. But yeah, I just don't. I think the big schools have an issue producing quarterbacks where they're able to produce offensive linemen, tackles, cornerbacks, safeties, all this other stuff, but they struggle. The big schools really struggle with that position just because of the expectation and the level of that sort of them going into the NFL with the and even Vince Young, who went to Texas, big school, but still never made it in. And yeah, so it's pretty crazy. And then you can go Jamarcus Russell, LSU. So there's always all the busts happen to come from these big schools, at least at the quarterback position. I would not trust. I thought Sam Darnold was going to be the exception to the USC thing. I would not trust drafting a USC quarterback in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm just not going to do it if I'm a GM, just because all the information's out there for everyone to see, and they're just not producing at this level.
All right, very good. Gabe.
Yep.
I have a question for you.
How
about them Cowboys?
Ooh, wait. Let's tear them up, man. Let's tear them up. So the
Lay
first
into
thing I
them.
would say,
Go for it.
So the first thing I gotta say about these Cowboys is they use Jason Garrett as an excuse year after year after year. Mike McCarthy, you coach one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Aaron Rodgers, and you had that offense looking really nice, supposedly. But the Packers offense has been very fine since you left. And when I watched that Cowboys game, I didn't see any Aaron Rodgers-esque stuff done from Dak Prescott. He didn't do anything that I thought was close to the Packers offense. I'm like, Mike McCarthy, where is it at? I'm into specialty. Man, you got to have a specialty, bro. If your offense is banging year after year like it was in Green Bay, bring that again up in Dallas. But you went forward on fourth down. You couldn't even get back in field goal range. I understand that pass interference call really wasn't because the receiver just barely extended his hands, but that's a ticky-tack call. So we'll have to let it go. The fact of the matter is you tried to go forward on fourth. You couldn't get it. You only got 3 points in the second half. Where was your offense? You have a top 5 offensive line, a top 3 to 5 running back, and apparently Dak Prescott is, I don't know, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson Jr. That's what the Cowboy fans say. They say
Plus, they have all these other receiver weapons.
Yeah.
I thought what's his name? The rookie. I forgot his name. I thought he was
Amari Cooper. You got Cooper, CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. Say that again.
Said you even got Ezekiel Elliott to run the ball. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got Zeke to run the ball, so there shouldn't be no excuse. The defense looked fine. The defense
and they had the weapons on offense. I like the receivers that they got. They should be.
They look like the exact same team with Jason Garrett. Maybe he wasn't all to blame. And
let me ask.
McCarthy's a bit overrated. Maybe Mike's a bit overrated because the Packers' offense is fine. They didn't take any steps back, honestly.
But I don't want to make this about bashing Dak Prescott because I think he's a tremendous human being. I think he's a great leader for that locker room and everything. But I just don't think Russell Wilson, if he's on Dallas, that happens. So that's
hell no.
And this is the thing. This is the thing. If he wants that money that he's claiming he wants, and I like Dak. I don't want to bash him that much, but he has to deliver 3 points, as you said, in the second half or whatever. It's not good enough. You have to. I mean, if you're that guy, go get it for me. You know what I mean? And they always bring up the stat that he's the most wins in the league after Tom Brady since entering or whatever. But I don't care. He's not in these crucial moments. He's coming up short. In the last year against Philadelphia, Carson Wentz was throwing to me and my next door neighbor, and he couldn't beat him. So it's just like, again, I think Dak is a fine quarterback. I don't think he's horrible or anything like that. But if you're that guy, you got to bring me that play and win that game. And credit to the Rams. I thought they deserved to win. But Dak, if he would have performed to a higher level, they probably, I don't know. That's my point on that, at least.
All right, very good. So it's time for some previews. It's the big game, the biggest game of the year, the one everybody's talking about. Who do you guys got winning between the Browns and Bengals?
Trash Bowl 2020. I'll go first, I guess. I got the Bengals. I really think. Okay, look, listen. All right, I know this sounds crazy, but man, the Browns, they just end up in this situation every single year. They end up playing these teams. I mean, the Ravens should have beat them, all that stuff. But last year, there were so many games in that season where they played a worse team and lost. And I liked some of the stuff I saw from Joe Burrow. There's a lot I didn't like, but he got himself in position for them to tie that game and go into overtime. He had that drive. I thought he was good on the ground. I'm not backing off of what I said to him going to the draft. I just don't think he's that guy, but I think he can be a good quarterback, and I think there's glimpses of that. He's a lot bigger than I thought he was, and I thought he did a good job. So I don't think the Bengals are a good team. I don't think the Browns are a good team. But I just think, given the circumstances, there's every instinct is telling me to pick the Browns, which is exactly why I'm going to pick the Bengals, because I think this is one of these games where you're not expecting it to happen because the Browns are off this huge loss, and Baker's going to want to go in there and light it up. And I think he's going to try to do too much. I think he's going to throw multiple picks in this game. I think Burrow will throw picks too. But I just have a feeling that the Cincinnati Bengals will figure out a way to beat the Browns because the Browns have all this talent together, and they just don't seem they just don't seem good enough. And on prime time with the lights on Baker, because they're going to be on Baker more than it is going to be on Joe. And I just think they're going to lay an egg. And I think it's going to be – I'll say it'll be close. I think it's going to be – I think it's not going to be that good of a game. I think it's going to be like 14-17 Cincinnati. And I'm not high on Cincinnati. I think they're absolutely awful. But this is just one of those games where I feel like it's set up for the Browns to win, which is why I think they're going to underperform, especially after coming off such a horrible performance last week, where Baker, who was supposed to clean up his game, threw picks again and has miscommunication with Odell Beckham, which is something that I think we need to attack because, they're just not on the same page. I think Odell Beckham's going to be traded before the end of the season just because this whole thing isn't working, and I think Cincinnati will just find a way to beat them even though they're not very good.
What's crazy about the Trash Bowl is it's so hard to pick, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because you just don't know.
It's just the mental stuff.
Yeah, you don't know which team is really going to show up. Like one team might find lightning for one game and Joe Burrow might be God. Or Baker Mayfield might finally connect with Odell Beckham for this one game. And it'll be over. So I actually think I think the Browns have the better roster. I would take Burrow over Baker Mayfield in a heartbeat. I don't believe in him anymore. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm done. I was never in, actually, so.
Whatever it is, I'm just sorry, man. Maybe it's the uniform, but he's got more commercials than wins. Yeah. Neither one of the teams are going to the playoffs. The Steelers and Baltimore are the best teams in that division, so it's a wrap.
Plus, the Chargers have a good defensive line, and Burrow was able to at least get himself in position.
Yep.
And they said he missed the kick.
The Bengals should have won that game.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm not as high on Burrow as most people are, but I thought that proves enough that against a Cleveland team that doesn't seem to do well under pressure, this is one they can steal.
I agree. Next game I wanted to discuss, I'll start with Gabe. Minshew Mania is playing the Titans this week. Gardner Minshew, great performance against the Colts. Do you think it was a fluke, or do you think he keeps it up?
I think he'll keep it up 100%. I don't believe in the Chargers either. I think they're going to take last place in the division.
I like their defense. That's about it, though.
Minshew looked really good, man. And it's crazy because Fournette was so happy that he had Brady, but Minshew outperformed. Outperformed Brady week 1. I mean, shit, crazy things have happened. I don't see Minshew slowing down. I really like his performance. I was just flipping through the channels watching it. I watched the highlights. I'm like, yo, he is going nuts.
What do you think, Ryan?
So do you think they beat the Titans then?
I sure hope so. But he had what? He had 3 touchdowns. Minshew had 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
Yeah, he was excellent.
He threw 3. If he throws 3 against the Titans, that's game over because Ryan Tannehill's a complete fluke. So if he brings that same energy, I think he will. But I mean, I think he'll have a good game, but I don't think he'll beat the Titans.
All right. I think he's actually gonna have a really good game, but I think it's gonna be close again. I'm gonna go Jaguars 20-17. I think he just does enough. I don't think they're a fluke. I think they're real. I think first of all, I think they're playing pissed off because everybody's disrespecting them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like 110%. I mean, and if they start out the season 2-0, you never know what happens. Now they could lose their next 14 and be in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, but me and Elliot were talking earlier today. I have them going 8-8 and fighting for a wild card spot. So I really do think Minshew's and that's my hot take. I really do think Minshew's the real deal because people were disrespecting him. People don't realize he played 11 games last year and threw 21 touchdown passes and only 6 INTs.
That's phenomenal. That's great.
Yeah. I'm in on Minshew now too. I was a little hesitant, but after seeing that, so I got great news for the Chicago Bears, the New York Jets, and others. The Jacksonville Jaguars after week 2 will not be in the running for Trevor Lawrence because I think they have a good quarterback, good enough. They're going to start building the rest of their team up because I just think they're playing the Titans, right? Or the Colts? Oh, the Titans because they just beat the Colts. Ryan Tannehill is a fraud. They're just going to hand the ball off to you know what I mean? He is a fraud. He is a fraud. He is a fraud. I'm happy for him because he just robbed the Titans this offseason. And after what he'd gone through before that, good for him. But no, the Jaguars are going to win this, and I'm going to say 27-14 Jaguars, and then that basically ends the idea of Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville because I think there's going to be teams who because I think two wins potentially gets them out of that situation. I don't know they make the playoffs, but I think they could win 7 to 9 games this season, and I think there's going to be bad games here and there, but Minshew has proven that he's good enough to be a starting quarterback, and I think that's obvious now.
All right, very good. The Broncos play the Steelers. Gabe, you confident?
I'm really confident. I really believe in us. The Steelers allowed how many points? They allowed a good amount of points to be put up on them by the Giants, and we know how
17.
dysfunctional.
That's not a lot.
A good amount. They got 17. So I think I like our offense. I like our passing game much better than I like the Giants' passing games. I even like Drew Lock more than Daniel Jones. So I think Drew is going to hang at least 24 up on him. I think our defense is really good because we really shut down. We really took Derrick Henry out the game for the first half. We just can't have fumbles, man. We fumbled on like the opening drive versus Tennessee. If we clean those mistakes up, if Drew Lock improves every snap like he has been doing, then I think we can beat the Steelers. I think that Big Ben I'm not going to lie, he looked so damn good in that game versus the Giants. Like, he was balling. He was putting that ball in spots that very few quarterbacks could do. So I'm nervous. We'll see how good our defense is. But if we can contain their running game, if we can get to Big Ben quick, because the Giants, they couldn't put any pressure on Big Ben. So if we can bring the pressure, I think that we can slow them down. I think that we can score just enough points. I think that we beat the Steelers 24-21.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think there's certainly argument for the Broncos winning this game based on everything you said. I think Drew Lock is going to have a much more statistical game against the Steelers just because I just feel like he's got one in him. But I think I'm going to go with the Steelers here just because Big Ben looked great. I thought their defense did well. And I think it's going to be really close. I think it's a coin flip, but I think the Steelers win this game. I think Denver goes 0-2, but I'll say this about Denver. I think after the first 2 weeks, they're going to start like they know what they got here, but they're going to become more comfortable with each other, and then they're going to start winning some games. So I don't think them losing this game is out of the playoff hunt if they go 0-2. I think there's plenty of time for them to make up, but at this point in time, I just trust the Steelers just a little bit more, but you very well could beat them. But I'm just based on what I've seen so far out of Big Ben, and I might be overstepping just because I was so impressed with Big Ben in that game. And if he's able to recreate something that's similar to that, I think they have an advantage. But I think Drew Lock is going to have it's going to be a tough game. But I just think the Steelers just get it by a little.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with the Steelers 28-24, but I think it's going to be a good 0-2.
Yeah,
not like
okay,
a bad
so
0-2 you're getting blown out. I think it's going to be a good 0-2. I think Big Ben just they have the better quarterback. They have the better quarterback and your best defender
right now. Right now.
Yeah. Right now they have the better quarterback and their defense is healthy.
Of course, they have the best quarterback. They have a better quarterback than us right now. A lot of people do. But I'm not concerned. They're going to lose. And I want you guys to eat crow next week.
All right.
They lose, okay?
I will.
I want an apology.
I'll always – dude.
I'll eat the crow. Well,
I got you. If I'm ever proven wrong on the show, I will apologize. I will say it publicly to my camera right here. So
if you guys win, I'll come on the show with a cowboy hat on, smoking a cigar like Stephen A.
Right.
Yeah. Be a Denver Cowboy. That's my promise.
You got anything else
Holla
over
at you,
there?
boy. What's that?
You got anything else over there, bro?
No, I do got 2 more games to review. And then we'll finish up.
Actually,
before we preview a game, hang on. We also, this is not just a football show. When the NBA Finals come along, we'll do it. I want you both to tear into the Clippers right now.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay.
You want to go? Okay, go ahead.
Hang on, can I start? Because that was the most abject, embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. And being a Pacers fan, watching Paul George blow a 3-1 series lead made me smile so big. So you know what? And I get it. The Nuggets are going to get absolutely blasted. They're going to get 4-1. The Denver Nuggets. It's going to be 5. It's going to be 4 or 5.
I think 5.
Just the laugh that they gave us is so worth it.
Yeah, but first we got to call in their actual name. The fraudulent Clippers of Los Angeles, as the great Nick Wright said on Instagram Live yesterday. They were, I don't get this. So obviously they went into this season as one of the favorites to win it. The only people who didn't pick them to win it was the 3 LeBron fans. So I'm not going to really give them that much credit there. But I'd say this. They gave up everything to get Paul George because they wanted a partner for Kawhi. They did everything to put those 2 together. And then in the biggest series, in the biggest series of the season at this point, they combined their 3 stars, or whatever you want to say. I heard Chris Broussard talk about this earlier, had 31 points, and they shot like 20%. Paul George was pulling up, hitting the ball off the backboard. It was an utter disaster. We saw the test that they had in the Dallas series, and they came – the Clippers were up 3-1. They didn't take this seriously. They wanted the Lakers, and they thought they could just half-ass it and get to the conference finals and beat LeBron. But this is just an abomination. Doc Rivers, who I love, gave myself as a championship. This is the 3rd time he's blown a 3-1 lead. So the blame.
He needs to go. No, he's done.
He needs to go. I mean, the thing is, I think this is the biggest choke job in NBA history. I don't think they're able to come back from this. I'm not saying they're not going to be a good team next year because I think they will, but there's no way back from what they just did. And it's not like the Golden State Cleveland thing where you can make an argument about this or the other thing. They were up by 10 double digits in 3 of their games. and they lost all of them. So it's just like, yeah, it's hard. And I think Kawhi is just not in the conversation for best player in the world anymore. If you're the best player in the world, you got to do something more than what we saw this Game 7 and just in the series in general. And Paul George is George Paul at this point because he's not performing to his level either.
All right, Gabe, your turn. I know you've been waiting for this.
So, I have my excuses ready. I literally had a book of excuses. 6-month break. Racial injustice is going on. We're supposed to be boycotting anyway.
Yeah.
COVID-19, no fans, no home field advantage, no home court advantage. Excuse me. But to hell with all of that. No excuse to have double-digit points, to have a double-digit lead 3 games in a row, and you have to close it up with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Walk them. Listen. When Kawhi Leonard won that second Finals MVP, we automatically had to put him. Not quite, but you have the exact same standards and expectations as Jordan now, as
you have
LeBron
to treat
James
him.
now.
You have to treat him at the same. We have to judge him the same way we would judge LeBron. Because if LeBron did this, we'd all be killing him in the same way. So we have to kill Kawhi exactly in that, and he will never be. He'll never be in a conversation as the best player in the world after this ever again. I'm sorry.
No, he can get back if he wins it.
Yes,
but you gotta go win it.
But this is Kawhi's Dallas Miami series. The thing what happened to LeBron were 4 straight games in fourth quarters, 2 points or less. This is Kawhi's whatever you want to call asterisk or something. Because you can't unsee or unerase what just happened. And there's no way around it. And we have to judge him the same way with LeBron. If LeBron had this, we'd be killing him. So we have to kill Kawhi for the same way. And Paul George also because they traded their entire future for Paul George to go to the Clippers. And they did that so they could win a title, not so he could be chucking shots off the backboard.
Yeah, well, this proves my point. Paul George was never a top 10 player in the NBA.
No.
Never. He disappeared.
He always disappears.
The Clippers built their team to beat the Lakers. They didn't build their team to win the championship. And I look like a damn goofy. But, Ryan, you go ahead. Take it away. Go ahead.
I got to say something real quick.
Okay.
Here's the messed up part about this whole thing is they tried to justify the fact that this wasn't a title or bust team. And I think that this needs to be mentioned.
No, that's egregious. No, this was a title or bust.
Yeah, that's my point. Paul George said this wasn't a title or bust team. And he said it in the press conference yesterday. I couldn't believe he said it. And we need to hold him to that because that is such an egregious take. You don't get the Thunder didn't trade away half the future was traded from one team to another. And now the Thunders have all these draft picks. They did that so they could win a title, not so they could figure out what they got. And I hope this, and this is my last point of this, I hope this kills load management because I'm sick of it. And I think this whole thing proves the fact that sitting out games doesn't actually lead to championship. And I know we had COVID and other things, but I hope just because the game is better when our guys are out there playing every night and trying to win championships.
Very good. All right, before we go, biggest game this weekend, Patriots, Seahawks. Who do you guys got? Give me a score.
You guys go first.
Where is it being held at? It's in New England, right?
I can check.
Yeah.
Nope, it's in Seattle.
Oh, okay. That makes it easy.
It's so early. It's so hard to tell. Cam Newton ran the ball the most. Did you know that the Patriots broke the record? They had the most rushes by a quarterback in franchise history. 15 rushes, 75 yards. Cam Newton looked dangerous. I can't believe there was a competition between him and Jarrett Stidham. That was just laughable.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick knows what he's doing. Off the rip, he knows what Cam is. He's not making Cam Tom Brady. Cam's having fun. He's dabbing on the field, and he just destroyed the Dolphins. However, Russell Wilson
That's the Dolphins.
Russell Wilson did it against the Falcons, and they won like 5 games last year. In addition, Russell Wilson was flawless, though. He was perfect.
That was one of the best games I've ever seen him play.
he never missed. What did he miss? Like 2 passes? And
I think one pass, and he had 4 touchdowns and like 350 plus yards or
It
something.
was
like that.
flawless, and I think it was a drop. So it's tough. It's in Seattle. I'm gonna go Seattle 31. I'm gonna go Seattle 27-24. Seattle.
All right, I'm going to go Seattle 35-24. I think their defense is just that much better, and I think I'm telling you this right now. It's Russ's year. I changed my pick from Kirk. Russ is my MVP.
Yeah, mine too. I'm hoping because my man deserves.
Russ, but me and Elliot, me and you love Russ. So every year he'll be our MVP no matter what.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's a bad guy in northern Wisconsin who he had an okay game.
Yeah, he was tremendous.
He was an overrated man in Wisconsin.
Wait, before we argue about that, let me do my. I just want to give my prediction for the Seattle game.
Go ahead.
The Seattle, they're not stuffing. Look. I'm not going to pretend I've been a big fan of Cam because I certainly have not.
You've been talking bad about him.
I have always talked bad about him.
He was a fluke. How could you?
I still stand by that. But I'll say this: I am but when Cam was getting, I don't know what you want to call it, when he was cut and nobody went to get him, I mean that's ridiculous. Come on now. I think he was tremendous. I loved the energy. Okay, this is gonna sound. I'm starting to like him a little more than I do, just because I'm starting to cheer for him because I want him to do well, so he can have this season so he can prove for all those people who gave him, because he's making $1.1 million or whatever, and it was so nice to see him.
They got Cam Newton for $15 plus tips.
Yeah.
$15 an hour plus tips. He's making as much as
I'm not gonna pretend I'm his biggest fan, but I want him to do well this season. And seeing the last game, what he was able to do on the ground, my mentality with that is keep that momentum. I still don't trust him. I don't trust him as much throwing the football. But if they can make this work with Bill Belichick, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. But again, Russell Wilson is a bad brother. I'm sorry. I don't see a scenario where they win. I'm going to go 31-17 Seattle. But I think I want to see Cam do a little bit more through the air just to see that momentum. Because my criticism is going to go away, just how I view him as a career. But I want him to continue to grow this season and continue to do that. And I want to see him just open up a little more, because I felt in the Patriots game, it was a little closed off. It was because it was a lot of running, and there weren't a ton of passes. There were a ton of deep passes or anything like that. It was just like they were trying to work him into the playbook, and I liked what I saw. I just want to see him open up a little more. But again, against Seattle, I just don't see that happening. I don't think he turns it over, but I don't think they have a chance against Russell Wilson and those guys. I mean, he was flawless. There's nothing I think at this point, especially that team, is going to do to stop that man up in Seattle. And it's in Seattle. Yeah, that's going to happen. But it's going to be a good game, though, regardless.
All right. Well, thanks for listening tonight, everybody. Remember, my message at the end of the day is please register to vote and vote wisely, please. It's a huge election coming up. Support everybody in the human race. As you know, at the show, we are very big proponents and stand with Black Lives Matter. So please get out and register to vote. Thank you very much. You guys have anything to say before we end?
Any last statements?
I agree with that. Please vote. Even if your choices was as stupid as Hickory, Dickory, and Doc, I would encourage you to make a choice. Much love to these two great guys, Elliot, Ryan. I really enjoy this. I can't wait to watch another week of football.
I want to say one more last thing before we go. I really liked how the players unified on the sideline in all those games, hand in hand, like, that we're doing this together, rather than, it was a little bit of some people viewed it this way, other people viewed it this way. I love that they all came together. I thought it was disgraceful that anyone booed, equality in life.
Yeah, shame on you. Yeah, shame on Kansas City. I'm absolutely embarrassed to be from the state sometimes. That's
or
awful.
Anybody who did it. But I really liked, and it wasn't just that. It was the way Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes came together after the game, And on the NFL Sound, Russell Wilson and Matt Ryan had a conversation about that, basically saying keep doing it, let's keep doing this together, that sort of thing. So I want to thank all the players and all the people who are supporting this. And yeah, I just think it's beautiful. So that's the last thing I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back next week.